Hi, I'm Chloe.
Hi, I'm Joshua.
And welcome to the Musical Chairs podcast.
Where every week, or sometimes we 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 musicals.
Yay!
Yay!
So how have you been?
I've been good. Tired. School.
Yeah, me too. I kind of low-key hate the new in-person thing.
Yeah. I
It's
like seeing people. The one thing is that is nice is that before we were all like 6 feet apart in our classes, so like we couldn't talk to anyone really,
yeah,
or else we'd be like yelling.
yeah,
But
literally
and
like
like so in my class, I've actually been able to talk to people, but it sucks because it's the last month of school that I'm
yeah,
actually developing relationships with people.
exactly,
Because
yeah.
usually you have the whole year to do it.
The whole year, and you're just getting used to people now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of hard. Also, I'm in a different
Yes,
location.
she is.
I'm
I'm in the
downstairs.
same location.
Yes, it has not changed because your room is just like beautiful. Mine is not, on the
My
other
bed
hand.
isn't made.
Beautiful. 10 out of 10. Anyway, the musical for this week is Falsettos. So, Falsettos is based off of the trilogy one-act musicals In Trousers, March of the Falsettos, and Falsetto Land, and features direct name references throughout with lyrics written by
In Trousers is the name. It's kind of weird because it says like one act musicals in trousers. So
yeah,
that is the name of the
but
In
that is
Trousers is the name. That is
yeah.
not the musicals are not in trousers. They're not in pants.
So Falsettos debuted on Broadway on April 29th, 1992 in the John Golden Theater, and it closed on June 27th, 1993. But it had a revival, which is the one we watched, in 2016 on October 27th and closed January 8th, 2017. Falsettos is set in the late 70s to early 80s during the AIDS pandemic.
Which is
And
important for later.
yeah, important information.
Yes.
And the original production received 2 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and Score, as well as a Theatre World Award. But unfortunately, the revival has none.
Which makes no sense. It was so good.
It was fantastic. It must have been the fact that the original one was just like much better or something like
I
that.
don't know. Or maybe just like some other musical beat it to everything.
Maybe, yeah, that could
Hamilton.
be true. Honestly.
This is Hamilton era. Like beginning of Hamilton.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's true. Hamilton was like 2015.
Yeah. The synopsis. Falsettos is the story of a large, eccentric, and dysfunctional but loving Jewish family in New York at the end of the 1970s. Initially, Marvin seems blessed with a perfect family, has a caring wife, Trina, and a young son, Jason. Nevertheless, the family is soon broken apart when the homosexual Marvin leaves Trina for a man called Whizzer. Trina, meanwhile, ends up romantically involved with the family therapist, Mendel. All the while, their son, Jason, is stuck in the middle. Included in the mix are lesbian neighbors Dr. Charlotte and Cordelia. Something unfortunate happens, and the entire family, non-traditional as it may be, must put aside their issues and come together.
Yeah. So we decided to mention the original Broadway cast and the revival cast since we watched the revival cast.
Yes.
So, starting with the revival cast, Marvin is played by Christian Borle. Trina is played by Stephanie J. Block. Whizzer is played by Andrew Rannells.
Which we've had in the prom. Yes.
Prom movie though.
Yes, the movie.
Mendel is played by Brandon Uranowitz. Yeah. And Charlotte is played by Tracy Toms, which we had in Rent.
In Rent.
And then Cordelia is played by Betsy Wolfe. And Jason is played by Anthony Roenthal. And then for the original Broadway cast, Marvin is played by Michael Rupert. Trina is played by Barbara Walsh. Andrew Rannells.
Who's Andrew?
I was gonna say Andrew Rannells is played by.
Oh.
Whizzer is played by Stefan Bogardus. Mendel is played by Chip Zien. Charlotte is played by Jonathan Kaplan. Cordelia is played by Heather McRae. And Jason is played by Carolee Carmelo.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are the casts.
Yeah, the cast.
On to the guiding question.
Okay, so who are there any actors in particular that you like, admire, etc.?
I mean, I really liked Andrew. Is it? How do you pronounce his last name?
I think it's Andrew Rannells.
Rannells? Okay, Andrew
Or
Rannells. I think because like especially towards the end, he's absolutely, which we'll get into. We'll get into what happens at the end. But he really plays up his character like really well, and like I mean everyone does a great job.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And also just like knowing him for a hot minute and being able to see him in a role in like a musical that was really good was also really cool. So probably I would say the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are describe the characters, and do you have a favorite character and why?
Favorite character? I'd probably say Wizard.
Yeah, he was fun.
Yeah. I just liked his character because he was kind of like different from everyone else.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I would probably say him, but like above him, Jason.
I
love him. I honestly love him.
Oh, also that kid did great.
Yeah, he was amazing. Like,
really good.
I love him. And then if you could be cast in the musical, who would you want to be and why?
So I fit all the voice roles.
I know.
They're all tenors. But I think Wizard.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Jason seemed like fun, but I kind of missed the age requirement.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit younger.
Just a little bit. 2 years.
And for me, there's really only 3 females.
Yeah.
And I would be fine playing any of them.
Yeah.
I would have no issue.
I think Trina's a soprano though. I think the rest are like I think the other two. No, not Trina. I looked at I think it's a Trina and Charlotte were mezzo sopranos and Cordelia was a soprano.
Yeah. So I would probably fit Cordelia better. But yeah, I'm fine with playing any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly me too. Like they're all
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who would you recommend this musical to?
It's if you one thing is that the whole thing is like an opera where there's very little talking, but the whole thing is sang. So if you like musicals like that, like Hamilton's one. What else? I can't think of any.
I think Hamilton is the only one we're like really aware of right now, other than this.
We've had other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that because I personally am an opera fan, and I really liked this one.
Yeah.
So, good recommendation. See, I don't know. I just think.
I mean, LGBTQ, obviously, because more of the characters are homosexuals.
Yes. And probably just that, and it's also quite like there's quite a few comedic parts in it.
Yeah.
So also if you like more comedic musicals, but it's also very heavy. So there's if you like comedic but heavy musicals, there's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good. I would probably rate it.
Rent.
Oh yeah, if you like Rent, that's a good one to compare it to.
Yeah.
And then I would probably rate it at like a 9.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, me too.
The rating system is so flawed.
I think we have the best rating system, Chloe.
We do, honestly.
Our rating system is 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
6 and below, they don't exist.
They don't. Yeah, there's no such thing. Yeah, it was really good. There was really like few things that I could say that are bad about it. Like if any, honestly.
Yeah. It was very well done too.
It was really well done. Like it was just every character was just like really in character. Like I had a
Yeah.
hard time. Like a lot of the time what I do is I try to analyze acting techniques or like analyze their acting.
Yeah.
But I had a very hard time doing that for this one because they were so good at it. Like they
Yeah.
were so in character.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's definitely going to be spoilers from here on.
Yes.
So if you
want to
know,
watch it, highly recommend it. Definitely watch
yeah.
it. But if you're fine with spoilers or if you've already watched it, then continue.
Yeah, please proceed. If
But
you
if
are
not,
gonna
watch it real quick. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit long, but you could maybe watch like half of it, come back, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we did. We each watched half. We each watched an act.
Yeah, and then we came back the next day.
Chloe, do not play with fire.
I will set the world ablaze.
Okay, Heathers. Mean Girls.
The world burn. Okay, anyway, back to falsettos. So it starts off with the four main, not the four main characters, but the four main male characters.
The only main males. The only males.
Which are Jason, Mendel, Marvin, and Whizzer.
Yes.
So we get introduced to them, and they're kind of in a little bit like of an argument, and they're all Jewish.
They're all Jewish. The
Yeah.
song's called Four Jews in a Room Bitching.
Yeah. So that kind of already gives you the context of what's going on.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's that song. We're also introduced to Trina as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is Jason's mom and Marvin's ex-wife.
Yeah. And also Mendel's wife.
Not yet.
Not yet, but like eventually.
Dude, eventually. Spoiler.
Yeah.
A tight-knit family. Marvin says, "Screw y'all. I'm going with Whizzer because I'm
a homosexual."
gay." And so he goes with Whizzer, and the family's like, No, you don't like Whizzer.
Yeah, at first.
Yeah.
And then
Whizzer's great though, honestly.
He's so unproblematic. Like sometimes he can be a little bit like problematic sometimes because he's very like hurt at some points, but
he redeems
that really happens. And then after that, Trina, they come to this guy Mendel, who we just mentioned, who is a psychiatrist, and like I think both of them end up going, and then Trina comes to him, and they're like, and she tells him how she can't really like she's having a hard time accepting her divorce with Marvin, and she doesn't let this go for like the entire musical, but like seriously, Marvin is kind of coming because he's starting to fall in love, and he like kind of reassures her like, no, it's not your fault, it's just like I'm a homosexual. So
what am I saying? Oh, the set. Okay, I'm gonna get into the set a little bit. The set, I've never seen a set like it before. So basically it starts off with there's this huge like box in the middle, and they basically they can take it apart, so there's like pieces that come off of it, and they use that as the set piece. So they use that as like chairs, tables, bed, like whatever they need. And then they also use the block, like they'll sit on the block too. Like when it's taken apart, they'll like get on top of it and like walk around on it. It's one I've never seen anything like it.
There's really no like scene changers. It's all them moving it themselves.
Yeah, there's no like crew that like moves stuff. There's not like things that like move on like conveyor belts or whatever.
Yeah, conveyor belts.
There's no things that come from the sky. It's like it's all from this block. Except later in Act 2, they do more like actual more set stuff. But still, they still like they're the ones setting up everything.
Yeah.
And also in every scene, they don't go off stage in act 2 they do a bit more, but in act 1 they barely go off stage.
They like never go off stage.
Yeah.
If they're
in the back. Well, they're on stage. They're not like illuminated all the time. Like they don't always have a spotlight. But like they'll just be in the back and they're just like watching what's happening.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
And I noticed this one scene with Jason and Trina. He was talking about stuff, and the way she was looking at him looked so lovingly. Like, like I don't know if you noticed it, but like she was just looking at him with so much love.
She was great. She was just such a caring person throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then and like then we kind of start to see that like how Marvin and Wizard are,
what their relationship is like.
Yeah, it's kind of very conflictual at first because
like they never agree on anything. Like literally, like not even like there's one where they say we won't agree, and they're like, we don't agree.
We don't agree. It's like
they argue over like the tiniest little things, but they're like, but I still love you.
Yeah, exactly.
But also I hate you.
But also I don't like you. So yeah, that's a big part of what we see in the beginning. And then
they definitely do something at the end. At that song. They're like ripping each other's clothes off by the end of it. So
we actually have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
Can't tell you.
We couldn't tell you what's going on there.
Yeah, we really don't know. We have a really hard time figuring out.
Yeah.
So
I was so confused.
I know. I was like, what is happening?
I wasn't confused with Spring Awakening though.
Yeah, that's the only one I actually understood.
Like,
yeah.
Anyways. So Marvin then goes to the same psychiatrist, what's his name, Mendel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he kind of turns into a family therapist.
I love him. I love his character.
I know, I love him too. So Wizard calls it a 3-part opera. Which it is split into 3 parts. The first part, Marvin basically talks to him about Wizard. And he's saying, like, I love him, but also we have so many different opinions, but I love him. He, like, talks about him, like, the way he talked about him did seem, and, like, his facial expression just seemed like he actually truly did, like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he was just talking about him for that first part. And then he also slightly talks about how, like, sometimes their relationship is rocky, but, like, he still loves him. Part 2. They discuss his ex-wife Trina. He didn't want to bring this up. Yeah. And then Mandela's like, so about Trina. And he's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah. And he's asking weird questions too.
Yeah, he's like, so does she sleep in the nude?
Yeah.
And he goes, no. And he goes, okay. Doesn't sleep in the nude. And he's just asking, like, because he, like, loves her already.
Yeah.
And he's just like asking questions, and he's just like, I'm not here to talk about this. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
that's really awkward.
Talks about Jason pretty much, and how he's like kind of confused with what's going on with him, and how like
he's kind of
different.
Yeah.
But also like kind of the same, because they talk about how like they're very similar later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after that,
speaking of them being similar,
speaking of that,
my father's a homo. Jason is worried that he'll be gay too, since he's so much like his dad, because he takes a lot of personality from him and he looks like him, which actually does, like, kind of. They did a good job casting.
Yeah, well done. And he's worried about that. He's like,
what if I'm like my dad?
Exactly, which luckily he isn't later, but to his liking at least. And after that, everyone's like, Jason, see a psychiatrist.
Yes,
like everyone's
both Trina and what's his name? Marvin. They're both like they're kind of like co-parent, obviously, because they're they're not married anymore, and one's gay, so they co-parent now, and So they're kind of both telling him, like, you need to see a psychiatrist. Like, we don't know what's going on with you. You're so weird.
Yeah, like there's something wrong.
And he plays chess by himself, with himself.
By himself, yeah.
And then he's just like, I want to talk to Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? They're like, yes, I want to talk to Wizard. So then they call Wizard, and they like sing his name so beautifully.
Yes, I love that. That was so funny.
And then he comes up, and then he tells him like, maybe you could. And then I love this part how Marvin flicks him in the back of the head, being like, no, we want him to go. Pretty much, like kind of like
being
flicked Wizard in the back of the head, being like, no, don't tell him maybe, tell him yes. Then it's like, okay. And then he's like looking at them to be like what they're doing, and they're like, yeah, you should go see the psychiatrist. And then he's like, fine, but only if he comes here.
Yeah, exactly. And so he had to come.
That's the exception.
And then there's a little bit of a fight between Marvin and Wizard after that. Because they
conflicting opinions.
Yeah.
Wizard doesn't want to keep the relationship monogamous. Marvin does, which you don't know what that means. That just means like keep it only between them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they just like they're also fighting about Marvin trying to make Wizard a housewife.
Yeah. He's like, you should just sit there and look pretty. And he's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, he's like, and then the next song is so good.
I love this song.
The next song is great.
It's I'm Breaking Down.
Very talented.
Trina sings about how she's obviously slowly breaking down. Her life is falling apart. She doesn't understand her son at all. Her divorce with Marvin, and it's done so well. She goes from her reactions and how she's doing things. She says she was like, oh, but I'm fine.
Yeah, and she literally is eating a banana at the end, but she's
eating a banana and belting.
I know.
She's belting.
Oh my God. You're like, and she's belting. It sounded so weird.
She's literally belting with a banana in her mouth. And obviously it sounds a little tiny bit muffled, but you can hear it so well.
Yeah. And I don't know, it didn't, they probably had mics, but that was really good.
Crazy.
It was
yeah, she did it. So she would talk about all the horrible things. She's like, but I'm fine. And if you're not gonna watch it, just watch that.
Yeah, just at least watch that. And she had the knife and she was cutting the banana as she was singing. It was very interesting. Very well done.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What's her name? Hold on. Stephanie, you're really good. I applaud you in every way.
If you're somehow listening to this.
Banana belts.
Banana belts. No one ever does that. No one does that.
I've never seen anyone belt with food in their mouth.
In their mouth. Yeah. How do you even
And honestly, it wasn't the whole banana. But,
yeah.
Still.
That's not normal.
Insane.
Very talented. Very talented.
Which
and then back to Jason wanting the Mendel to come to his house, to their house.
He calls him and is like, hey, so we would like a therapist, but one little thing, you need to come here.
Must come to our house. Yeah.
Okay. Because also he likes Trina.
Yeah, so he's like, this is a deal.
Yeah. And he's completely fine with it. He's like, all right. Okay.
Yeah. And then Jason ends up becoming Mendel's therapist.
Yes. Well, during Jason's therapy, he kind of tells him a bunch of stuff. Also, his parents kind of try to intrude. They're like, this is therapy, right? They're like, yeah. It's then leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. That was funny. I like that part.
So he pretty much talks to him about just stuff and what was it specific? I don't remember what specifically he told him.
I can't remember, but at the end they were having a jolly good time.
Yeah, he was like showing him things. He was like dancing and stuff and like telling him advice. And then Jason kind of becomes Mendel's therapist and like does the same motions and gives the same advice back to him, being like, hey, maybe you should also follow this advice.
No.
Um,
It's fun. It's great.
yeah. And it was just funny to just see him become, because like there's a part where he falls down on the table backwards. And for him, it looked normal because he's a small child. But for Mendel, it was so funny because he was like an adult man that did the same thing. And it was really funny.
It was funny because like often like therapists like give advice that they also need to follow.
Yeah.
Because more often than not,
therapists usually have other therapists.
Exactly. So that it was kind of a good representation of that in that song.
Yeah. And then it goes into marriage proposal.
Yeah.
Bill proposes to Trina very awkwardly and clumsily, not good, because he's a very awkward person.
Yeah.
But she accepts. She says yes, obviously, because she like loves him. Because also over the time of the therapy, he's obviously gotten to know Jason better, developed a relationship, and then also gotten to know Trina better, obviously, because he's been in her house.
Yeah.
So he's gotten to know them better and really like develop a better relationship
with her. And then after everything with her husband, like her ex-husband already, she kind of just like, she's like, yeah, I want to go again. So
that was terrifying.
He always like, he's chewing his bone and then he'll just like drop it. And then it's just like a whole earthquake. And it's just...
There's a crack in the earth now.
Yeah, all because of you.
That reminds me, Teddy, my dog, he just takes things and brings them outside.
Same.
Like
well, not same, but like
there was just like candy out. Like we were cleaning up some trash in the backyard today, and there's just candy in the backyard, just like half-eaten candy with chewed up packages, and we're like, Teddy, what is this? What is this doing here?
What?
Or like it'll be like my sister's just toys just out there. Because he just takes them. He takes them, and when we try to confront him, he runs. He runs outside.
He's like, nope, I ain't doing this.
Yeah. Anyways, back to falsettos.
Yeah.
Trina's song. Trina's frustrated by the male-dominated world, which especially at this time was very male-dominated. It still is, but especially that it was.
Yeah.
And how the men around her are immature.
Yeah. Immature. And like all the stuff going on currently is kind of what like fed this whole like upsetness that's going on. And then it kind of jumps this weird little thing that happens. But it was funny, but it was very odd. Which all the adult men singing falsetto voices, which was hilarious.
Yes.
To match Jason's voice.
Yes, because Jason just has a naturally high voice because he's 12, 13.
Yeah, like, yeah.
So his voice hasn't deepened. And
yeah. And they all are like marching in like the same outfits, and it's hilarious. Yeah. It's funny.
It also is a reference to March of the Falsettos, the one that we've mentioned earlier in the history. It's a reference to that. I mean, it's the same title. So
yeah.
It is.
And then after that, it's a Trina song reprise where she's eventually like collecting herself and getting rid of her frustrations. And she's like, okay, she kind of just pulls herself together after all the stuff that's happened and all the things.
Yeah. Also, I realized something. So I was looking at a picture of when I was in the Addams Family, and I looked so young.
You did.
I was like,
you looked like a whole child.
Hello? Like, it fit. I was a child in that musical.
Yeah.
I was playing a child. But like I was like, I look that young.
Yeah, at the time it probably didn't seem like it because like
I was just like, what do you mean?
Like I was that young? Like
yeah.
That was I during that whole time period, like before I dyed my hair, I looked like a 5-year-old. Like I literally looked so young. like my short hair and like, oh, that was sad. That was a horrible time period.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Anyways, it goes into the chess game, which we know Jason plays chess, and so Marvin attempts to play chess with Whizzer, but Whizzer is bitter. And it does not end well. He just lets him win, pretty much. And they fight and break up.
Yep.
And then Whizzer
You can keep talking.
Okay. And then Whizzer, like, what am I saying? Whizzer. Oh, and then Whizzer kind of disappears for a little bit of the musical. Because obviously he's like you're not together anymore, so.
Yeah, so he doesn't really need to be there for that time period. And then
sad. I wanted him to be there.
I know. Before he leaves, he has this whole song which was beautiful. Like he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about how he's like reflecting on his previous relationships with men and also with Marvin. And he's basically talking about how he doesn't really want to live that way anymore and how he doesn't want to deal with like abusive behaviors and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But after that he leaves. So
yeah. And then it goes into making a home where Mendel moves in with Trina. They're basically just like, we're making a home together, having a family. They're decorating their house. It's just a nice little song.
Yeah, it's really like barely anything happens with it, but the set is really cool because they make it look like a couch and make it look like like little desks, and it's really cute.
Yeah, and they also start bringing in props more.
Yeah, more props.
Yes, because in Act 2 it transitions to more props and less of the blocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was kind of sad, but it also was more appropriate for what they were doing. So
yeah, definitely.
And then after we got the order a little bit mixed up, but after everything that we just mentioned, Marvin ends up hitting Trina because he receives the news that Mendel and Trina are getting married, like they're intending to get married, and out of complete rage, he just slaps her.
Also in front of Jason.
Yeah, in front of him.
And then he immediately feels horrible.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of Spring Awakening when she told him to hit her.
Mm-hmm.
When she told Milky. To hit her, and he immediately felt bad after taking it too far.
Mm-hmm. At least this time she didn't tell him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's worse.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like, that was kind of weird.
I was shocked.
Yeah, me too. It was for this one. It was like, but there was no good reason. He just was like.
I think he just had a lot of rage just built up over time. Yeah. And like he just got broken up with, so I think he was just kind of like
going through it.
Yeah.
And then after that, Whizzer comes in for this song. At least he's not like actually there, but like
yeah,
if you know what I mean. And they both are just kind of like they're really shocked by Marvin's behavior.
Yeah,
and they confess that they never really intended to love him that deeply. And they both accept like that this love was very damaging for the both of them.
Yeah.
And kind of see who he truly is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's really cool how they did this because they're both kind of singing the same thing, but it's not like a duet, but it's like kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know how to explain it.
Kind of like what they're both thinking. Like they're not singing to each other.
Yeah,
they're not. They have the same thoughts, so they're singing at the same time.
Exactly.
But it's not like directly related to each other. It's because they're both like mad with Marvin, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, hold on. Watch. We have no. Hold on, wait. Now we have no.
Wow. Anyways, we're back.
We're back.
Okay, so then it goes to a father and son, where this is a very heartfelt song. Marvin sits his son Jason down and assures him that no matter what happens in the future, it'll be okay, and that he should all of his actions were like bad and he shouldn't have done it, but he'll always be there for him.
Yeah.
And that also kind of because he kind of hates his dad right now.
Yeah.
And kind of throughout the whole musical to this point.
Yeah.
So this kind of like reassures him. And like kind of puts more trust into him.
It builds a little bit more of a relationship.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Act 2.
So that finishes Act 1.
Yeah. Very long, but it's okay. Falsetto Lands is the first song of Act 2, and it starts 2 years later. So everyone's 2 years older, and Marvin realizes that he kind of needs to like grow up and start like, moving on.
Yeah.
And he has a much better relationship with Jason now, and shares custody with his wife over him.
He gets him over the weekends.
Yeah. And but he can still not get over Wizard and like everything that happened with him. So also Cordelia and Charlotte are now introduced too.
Who are the lesbians next door.
Yes. I honestly love them. They were such a good
addition. Love them too. I think they were good to have added in. And they're added in at an appropriate time too.
Yeah.
And their entrance, I love their entrance because like everyone was in a line singing. And then they all stepped to the side, and then they just walked in and like joined the line and just started singing with them. Also, I wonder if they like go to the theater before Act 1 or before Act 2.
I don't know. It depends on
the in it at all in Act 1. They're not in it at all.
Maybe they come like during intermission or something.
Yeah, or like during Act 1, like halfway through Act 1, they're probably getting ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's what I think, because I don't think they'd get ready and then just sit there for an hour.
Exactly. There's no way.
Maybe like on the first like week or something, just so that they could see it. But I feel like after that, they probably came in later.
Yeah, I would assume, because there's no reason. There's literally no reason.
Yeah.
So, anyway, then after that, they're all like, oh my gosh, this is the year of not Marvin's bar mitzvah. Not Marvin, Jason's bar mitzvah. And they're all obsessed.
Because Jason's turning 13, which we did a quick little Google search and found out that's when you have a bar mitzvah.
And they're all obsessing over it. They're like, oh my gosh.
Well,
like, they're all
Marvin and Tina, because what's his name? Mendel. He's kind of like, you guys are kind of overreacting a little bit.
Exactly. Like, he's the only one who kind of understands.
Because like Jason is like kind of just like, no, I don't want this. Like, no, but you do want it.
Yeah. Right? They're like, please, just for us. And it's like, it's not your bar mitzvah. Like,
yeah. But they're like crazy planning over it.
Yeah, they're great. They're obsessively planning over it. Like, it's crazy. But and then after that, Jason's kind of like thinking about which girls he's gonna invite to his bar mitzvah, because he finally like realizes that he has feelings for girls. So
yes,
he's straight. So he's kind of relieved about that too. But he's like thinking about the girls he's gonna invite
during his baseball game, which is they basically just a game. He has a baseball game, and pretty much everyone shows up. So Marvin, Mendel, his mom Trina, and the lesbians next door.
And then Wizard comes too.
Wizard comes in halfway, and they're like, hello?
But Marvin's like, hello. Like,
at first he's still like, what are you doing here? He's like, I would like to support him because I love Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think he does love Jason, like, as his own.
Even though it's not like
Jason obviously loves him too, because he like
he
was the only person he would talk to about stuff. And then later, when he's in the hospital, he literally doesn't want his bar mitzvah without Wizard in it. He doesn't want it without him.
Yeah, that was so sad. Like I just
Yeah, we'll get to that.
yeah. Um
And
and
then after many attempts, so like they're all, and then also Whizzer and Marvin finally like towards the end they're like about to kiss each other, and then Jason manages to hit the ball after not hitting it 5 times.
yeah, he finally hits it and everyone's like freaking out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, he actually hit it." Like
And then he's standing there and they're like, run!
run.
That's how it
And then
ends. It ends with them yelling run, and he runs, then he starts running. I played baseball before kindergarten.
Really? Wow.
I remember I was number one because my dad signed me up.
Number one.
I was number one because the guy was like, these are the shirt options. These are the ones we have left, because every kid gets to choose their number.
Oh.
And so then I was like, I want to be number one.
Because I'm a star.
Yeah.
I am number one.
Which actually I wasn't, because I was running on the bases, and then my dad was telling me to go back, but he never told me to go back before, so I was really confused and I didn't know what to do. So I didn't know if to keep going or to run back. And so I just kind of stood there.
You just kind of sat there like,
I just stood in between two bases, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I've never been told to go back.
Exactly. Like, what does that even mean?
And then I
like,
was out.
Oh, of course. Dang. Anyway, back to falsettos. Then they kind of all reflect on like how life is like really good currently, and then back to the bar mitzvah.
A Day in Falsetto Land, which is another one of the musicals.
Yeah, that was another reference there. And then back to the bar mitzvah. They're Marvin and Trina are like arguing about this at this point, and then Jason's like, I don't even want to have it if you guys are gonna be doing this. And and then
he calls it off, and they're like,
yeah, and then they're like, no, what do you mean? And they get all upset about it. But then Mendel
everyone hates his parents.
Where
Mendel again is being the only one that understands him pretty much at this moment. Pulshi's-san explains to him that everyone hates their parents at one point.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of true.
It is. I don't like absolutely hate my parents, but there's points where you're like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Like where you're just like, ugh, I hate you.
Yeah, and he said you'll grow to hate them less.
Yeah. Good advice, honestly.
Yeah.
I would see him. And then after that, Marvin is
Marvin and Whizzer are back together.
Yeah. They're
together. Their relationship is better. He realizes he sucked before and changes himself.
Yeah. And I think they honestly both kind of changed themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're both kind of working towards it now.
Yeah.
Instead of like towards their own thing.
They work better now.
Much better. I really liked their relationship in Act 2. It was much better. And they, where was I? I was saying something about that.
What more can I say? That's the song.
Oh. And so he's kind of just like pondering how much he loves Whizzer and like how much he truly loves him, and he's kind of like
and they're on bed together sleeping.
Yeah, and that's why he's like looking at him like, oh, what more can I say? So that's a cute but short little thing going on there.
Yeah. Okay, so this next part, I think we have something that's not in here. So you know the part where they're like all three. Oh wait, no. Okay, we just skipped over it.
Oh.
Okay, Falsetto Land. Where is it? I think it's that one. Where I think that's the one where they're like, Charlotte and what's the other one?
Cordelia?
Yeah, Charlotte and Cordelia. They're like, our life is great. We love each other. And she was like, today's the first day where someone hasn't died. And she's like, yay!
I can relate to that, but like my mom also works in hospitals and like stuff like that. And someone dies literally like every day. Oh. Like multiple people die. Like every day. And there's never a day where it's not. So
that's what we start learning about Cordelia's horrible food.
Oh yeah.
And how she's trying to cook but can't. She cannot cook.
She cannot.
and then we are also what's his name? Trina and Mendel. Their relationship's going great too.
Yeah.
As well with Jason. And then Marvin and Whizzer were shown that they're back together here. And this is when they play racquetball and they're playing together, and Whizzer's really good. He beats him every round, and they're also like laughing and having fun too, which is great because we like never saw them be like
that before. Yeah.
And so yeah, this is important because we're about to get into it soon. To the whole racquetball thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just nice to see them actually happy.
Yeah, like all having a good time. And then eventually it gets to the point where like Dr. Charlotte is actually realizing that like many gay men in the city are like arriving at the hospital with an illness that no one really seems to understand.
It turns out to be AIDS with the AIDS pandemic.
Yeah, and like no one really understands it because it's like first becoming a thing, you know. And then she starts realizing that this is happening, which is kind of foreshadowing to the future events.
And she does also warn what's his name?
Marvin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so more racquetball. They're playing racquetball again. They're having a great time. But Whizzer is starting to like not hit any of them. Like Marvin serves, and then he can't even hit it back.
Can't even hit it.
And before he was literally beating him every single time.
Every time, yeah.
Like he didn't lose once, and now he's losing every single round.
And then he's like, I can't do. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I think.
Yeah. So he like says he can't do it anymore, and I'll wait for Chloe. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Sorry, Chloe. Yeah. So then we find out that he collapses after he tries to leave, and then Marvin obviously gets really worried because obviously
it's like, like this is not like him. So,
and then turns out he got AIDS.
Yeah, and he's like really sick.
Yeah, it's like bad. It's really bad. Like he's in the hospital, has to stay like in a bed pretty much the whole time. And then it goes to Holding to the Ground, where Tina is trying to convince herself that she shouldn't feel bad for her ex-husband's boyfriend. But she feels like so bad. And like, because like they obviously like all developed a relationship with him. Like, obviously platonic. Like, they're not all in love with him. Like, they're all like friends with him. They all like care about him.
They all actually care about him.
And she's like, I shouldn't feel bad, but she just does.
I do, yeah.
And then we just find out he's in such a bad state. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
He has like IVs. Like, it's really sad. It was not fun to watch that because he was so energetic before.
He was such a fun character, and then he was just like dying.
Also, just going back to what we said before, Andrew Rannells, he did such a really good job of this. So believable.
It really was.
Acted the way he like just everything, which sad. My grandma had cancer. And then we use comedy to cope, y'all. Anyway. And she and like a lot of times she's in the hospital, she acted pretty similarly. And obviously cancer and AIDS aren't the same, but there's still these that like bring down your health, obviously. And like it felt very real. Like how he portrayed it.
Yeah, there was such a contrast from his character originally to his character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was a big contrast. And then after that, like everyone's gathering around him,
and the rest of the musical kind of focuses on him from now on. I mean, it does other things too, but it's mainly around him.
But mainly, around.
This is kind of also bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah. It's funny what happens.
Yes. So days like this, Whizzer is starting to feel a little better. He's a little happier. They all agree that days like that is like the days that they believe in God.
Yeah.
Like I usually don't, but you know,
but
today I do.
And then canceling the bar mitzvah. Jason, Trina, and Mendel discuss about Jason's bar mitzvah again, and then they're like, he's like, they're like,
Whether or not to have
Jason,
it.
you need to make a decision. Like, let me know what's going on.
They're just like, okay, we should have it. They're like, we can have it when he gets out. They're like, we don't know when he's gonna get out. It's like,
exactly. We don't know if he's gonna get out. So
we don't know if or when. If he does, when he's gonna get out. And so he's just like, then we're not gonna have it because he wants Wizard to come. Like, he's canceling it just because Wizard can't come. There's no other reason, just because Wizard can't come, which shows that he does truly care about him and how, like, he obviously loves him.
He had such a close connection with him.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's this cool little moment where it's like
it's a nice
Marvin, Wizard, Cordelia, and Charlotte are all singing about how, like, unlikely it is that they're all in love. Not all in love, but, like, you know,
in love with each, like, the two pairs are in love with each other.
Yeah, they're not all in love, but
they're also so different from each other too.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're singing about, like how it's kind of like interesting how they're all and unlikely. It's literally called Unlikely Lovers because they're all different, but they still love each other. And
And then to another miracle of Judaism where Jason prays to hope to save and heal Wizard and hope for a miracle of Judaism. Because he obviously, like, cares about him, like we said before. So he's like trying to do whatever he can because he can't do much. He's not a doctor. He can't just heal him.
Exactly.
So he's just kind of praying for it and hoping.
Yeah, like not even a doctor could cure him because wasn't it like uncurable?
Yeah, that it was because, or at least, like, I don't know. I think it's still technically not. It's uncurable, but like you're not, like, there's ways to, like, prevent, like they develop medicines and stuff to prevent.
Yeah. And then it moves on to Something Bad Is Happening Reprise, which is where Dr. Charlotte is like, she comes to Marvin, she's like, hey, and she's explaining what's happening. She's like, actually, this is what's happening and it's terminal.
Yeah.
And
also that Marvin might as well get sick, obviously,
because they were in a relationship with each other.
And they did the thing we don't know about.
Yeah, we actually don't know at all.
And then it goes, you gotta die sometimes. It's just a sad song where Wizard kind of accept his fate and the fact that he's gonna die and just to, like, live the rest of his life, like,
while he can.
Yeah. And which is kind of sad because, like, I feel like to us the idea of like accepting that seems so weird, but like when you're at the point where you're so sick that your life isn't really great, you just kind of accept it. You're kind of okay with it.
Yeah, because you're kind of just like thinking, you know, it's probably gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, and you kind of get to a point where you content with the idea of it.
Yeah,
which is sad, but yeah. And so then Jason's bar mitzvah. Jason decides that he's gonna have the bar mitzvah in Wizard's hospital room.
Yeah.
Because since he wants him to tend so badly, he might as well just have it there. I think it's so sweet and nice. Like they all dress up and they all it cheers him up and it's so nice. And then also Cordelia makes good food. For once. She literally has a piece. And then what's her name? Scarlet. Why did Charlotte. She has a piece. She's like, this is good. And she was like, it is. She was like, yes.
And then he dies.
Oh, wait. I wasn't gonna say something else. Okay, he doesn't die yet. He's not dead yet.
What? No.
I need to say something else first.
He dies.
No, not yet. Wait. Hold on. We're not there yet. Wait. I was just gonna say that it was the bar mitzvah was nice, and then also it was nice. Anyways, now he dies.
All right. Yeah, he dies literally the same day of his bar mitzvah, which is so like scarring to Jason because he'll forever remember that.
But I think at the same time, he was probably told that like that was his last like memory. Like the last thing
that's
he did
true.
before he died was that, and it was probably really nice for him.
At least
That he even just like that he thought that he felt cared so much about him that he planned his whole bar mitzvah
at his hospital room.
hospital room.
Oh, and then Whizzer ends up appearing in spirit, and Marvin, of course, upset, but he's like asking Marvin if he ever regretted or like still regrets the relationship.
Yeah. And he said he
and
would
Marvin,
do it
like,
no matter
again
what.
and again.
If he had to relive life, he would do it again and again every single time, which is so sweet.
It is so sweet,
and I love it. It was also really sad
because it just made me like, I just I can't. And then they're just kind of like not commemorating, like celebrating, not celebrating
celebrating his life,
and
also attending his funeral. Marvin obviously like is so sad. He's like crying. Obviously
he's breaking down, like
and the family they connect and they like all together and they're like there for each other. And a nice but sad, it's like sad obviously, but also nice because like they're finally brought together and like done arguing.
It's
which is sad because it's also like in Rent how when Angel died, that was the only when Angel and Mimi half died. That's the only time that they actually came together and finally were like, we need to stop being like this, which is so sad that like that's a lot of times the way to resolve it.
My dog is, you can't see him, never mind. But he's literally like on my chair. But anyway, it's I was just gonna say it often takes a person. Oh my god.
Didn't you take it away from him?
I did. I put it on the counter. Stop.
Where did he get it from?
Leave it. Drop it. Go.
Okay, we resolved that.
Sorry, but so basically, as I was saying before, like more often than not, people take life for granted. So it often takes someone going, like someone passing away or someone being gone,
appreciate it and realizing that
realize that like they need to live life in the moment, which is basically like the whole theme of Rent, as we can see. So and that's kind of that's kind of how it is.
And the ending is so sad, but like
it is really sad, but I was kind of expecting it.
It was incredible musical though.
It was.
Yes. Also, their outfits are so good.
I know, it's very oriented towards the character. Like
Also, obviously the time period.
Yeah, I love Jason's style. He had so much going on for him.
I loved obviously Whizzer had like he was literally like a fashionable person. His style was great. Also, Charlotte and Cordelia.
Yeah, they had a cool style going on.
Their clothes were so good.
Yes, like the little like jumpsuit that Cordelia wore to was my favorite thing on the planet.
I saw it and I was like, oh my god, that is like, the best outfit I've ever seen.
I know, it was so good. I was like, I need that. I want that.
You need it.
It was so cute.
Also the Wii party dress.
Yes. That one's even better than
I don't know what we're talking about, but there's in Wii Party a game for the Wii. Obviously, you play as me. It's like Mario Party, but with Mii's. And we played it, and there's a game where it with a party with like a fancy event, and Chloe's character was wearing a dress, and we're like, oh,
it's the cutest dress in the world.
But yeah, we're talking about that. But yeah, it was Falsettos was really good. I highly recommend this one.
Me too.
This has gone up to one of my favorites, definitely.
Yeah, it's just so good. Like it's an opera again, which I love those. They're
obviously not singing like you'd think an opera, but just the music the whole time.
Like all songs. But yeah, definitely recommend. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't have anything
else to add. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out our social medias. Our Instagram is Musical Chairs Podcast. Our Twitter is Podcast Chairs. Patreon, Musical Chairs, you can see it in our bios and stuff. So yeah, what do I say? Thanks.
Oh, I'm Chloe.
Oh, I'm Joshua. I'm not Chloe.
Bye.
Bye.